Hello everyone and welcome to today's iRacing here. Today's iRacing video. We're here at the Autodromo Monza, Monza Formula 1 track. We're about to get underway on our final quarter formation lap.
P4, 40 minutes.
We're about to get underway.
Follow car number 12.
So, we qualified in P4 with a time of, I think it was a 50.9. I know I have about 3 or 4 tenths of a second more over the course of a lap. I was running with full fuel accidentally. However, the guys ahead are only a tenth of a second ahead. They're in the 50.8s. So yeah, I had a pretty sloppy last lap, unfortunately, which sucked. But yeah, I'd love to turn around and say this is the first video here at Monza this week. Yep, thanks Artur. However, unfortunately not. I've had 2 races already here this week. Yesterday I tried to film, however, coming into the pits about 25-26 minutes in, got completely ram-rated, got shown the meatball, was able to recover to 11th or 10th, which is good. I'll recount the other one as we get under past the chicane of death. There we go. Oh, it's all already happened at the back. Didn't even get to the chicane of death.
Green, green, green.
I'm covering this position off already.
On your left. Clear left.
And then, yeah, unfortunately, in the first race, I tried to film. About 30 minutes in, person was right behind me, coming into chicane number 1, or turn number 1, and completely out Joshi's braking marker, rammed right at the back of me and just put me back down the field. So it was a pretty lonely race for myself. Unfortunately, took a hit to my safety rating, but I was able to actually get an overall net increase on my I rating, which is always good. Helps those losses hurt, those safety rating hits hurt that little bit less when you get an increase in I rating. So yeah, guys, if you do enjoy the content you see here today, please consider giving a like, a subscribe, comment, check out my Twitter in the description down below. Yeah, would really appreciate it. Helps you keep up to date with what's going on the channel, with me and my content. Was kind of struggling this week for content. I was extremely under the weather and only really started to feel better this morning, feeling a little bit worse for wear, which does suck. However, in the afternoon things have gotten a little bit better, so hopefully can smash out a few videos today and tomorrow for you. But yeah, we're here at the Monza track. Most notable race that happens here is the Formula 1 cars race here.
Car left. Clear left.
I was very surprised I was able to pull that one there up. With Artur, I'm sure it's going to be straight back down the inside.
We think P6 has gone off in Variante del Rettifilo.
So yeah, this is actually the fastest track on the Formula 1 calendar. The Formula 1 cars spend a majority of their lap on full throttle, which is pretty cool. So with this week here as well, I've tried to go as little downforce as possible. Through Ascari, it is a little bit sketchy. The back of the car does feel pretty light and want to spin on you on a dime. However, being a little bit delicate there makes up for being able to be fast down the 2 main straights, the main straight on the front and the back straight. And as you can see, I was able to pull all the way up alongside Artur because I had less drag resistance to him. and make that pass. Also slightly braver on the brakes. However, if you are carrying a little bit more speed down those straights, it does make it easier. It just means as well now, and even with the slipstream, it makes it harder to get back and move on myself. So, yeah. Was a bit of an adjustment this week though, because I am used to having a very planted car, running more downforce, sacrificing a little bit of top end speed for way more grip through the corners. However, Monza isn't really a track that you can afford to be slow.
P3.
So flipping over from Okayama to Monza is like switching to chalk and cheese. Okayama, very methodical, very flowy kind of track. Monza is very strict. You need to be, in order to be quick, you need to be using every single inch of the track that you possibly can be and attacking it. And if you make a mistake, you're going into the barriers. There's no way, there's no two ways about it. However, at Okayama, if you do run ever so slightly wide, you can recover from it pretty okay. Usually there's only a few corners where you really have to,
The gap behind is now
you really do pay the
0.6.
price of making a mistake. As you can see, I barely just dropped the hintest bit of a wheel there, and it's a mark. So that does suck a bit, but we'll keep rolling with it. These little black and white sausage curbs do a lot of damage to the underside of the car and can really unsettle it as well. So especially in the Lambo, I've found that I can't even remotely touch them all too much, whereas I know in the Ferrari you can be a little bit more aggressive in the way you attack the curbs, but you still have to be pretty damn careful. Ooh, so Artur is jumping into the pits early.
Your lap time was at 151.31.
I don't think you'll be able to get back on one stop. However, he may know something that we do not.
The gap in front
Oh,
has
shape
increased. It's
there.
now about 3.1 seconds.
Nick must have made a small little mistake there because he has dropped off the back of Tyoshi. Somehow managed to get a car number of car number one. I have a feeling we're right on the precipice with our I rating of jumping into second bottom split, no longer being in bottom, and I think that's why. I think I do have, yeah, between myself and Tyoshi, we have the highest I rating of the cars here. And as I said, if I had nailed my lap, I probably would have been ahead. I think the fastest I got in practicing this afternoon was a 50.457, I think, off the top of my head. But unfortunately I made a few mistakes, and as well was running light fuel loads in practice, so that may have accounted for a little bit there. A little bit too much speed through there. So especially there through the change of directions, it really unsettles the car. Also, one thing you may have noticed, webcam is in a slightly different location, allowing you to see a little bit more of what's going on the steering wheel, and my inputs, as well as my crazy Italian hand gestures that you see me making pretty regularly. You'll be able to see them a little bit easier on the webcam. So Nick has had a shocking two laps, or one lap. He's really dropped off the pace there.
Your lap time was 151.34.
So hopefully if he continues like this, we can make another move. Good exit through there. Ooh, something happened up the top there. So yeah, I caught Dave Cam's video earlier in the week, the GT3 video here at Monza, and I actually have a feeling that the BMW... Oh, we're way too deep here. The BMW that made an appearance in that video that he reckons should have been banned, I believe was in my race last night, because exactly the same name, car, decal, everything, made a similar maneuver at that second chicane.
2.4.
So unfortunately that's the nature of it, but that's really just real shoddy, because I'm pretty sure he ruined a few races race there, and people like that there is absolutely no place for in
Looks like P2's gone off in Ascari.
not only this game but any game or simulator for that matter. So you could tell Nick was just completely out of sync with that car. And luckily we were able to avoid it. And that's unfortunate what happens when you do that final left-hand turn out of that chicane. If you do catch too much of that sausage curb, it really does unsettle the car, and the second you put a wheel over those other rumble curbs on the other side, it really does take its toll on the car, and that's why when you do make a mistake here at Monza, you're in the wall for sure.
The gap behind is now 5.4 seconds.
I've raced a few times against Kevin behind me. He's pretty good, and same with Tyoshi. I have seen him in a few races before my I rating used to tank too badly. He's pretty rapid, as you can tell. He's pushing out a big gap in, I think he's in either the Merc or the Ferrari.
Our refueling window opens after 15 minutes and closes at about 28 minutes.
One of the other big changes between this track and Okayama is your fuel strategy is considerably different. At Okayama, you're about 30 to 35 minutes if you really wanted to push out your pit stop. Here, you cannot afford to do that. You need to come in 25, 26 minute mark if you're really pushing it right to the bottom of the tank. And then you fill up all the way to the end. But it is completely different kind of fuel savings. So given you spend as much of the lap here as you do on full throttle, if you can get in with a car and just lift off, lift and coast, slipstream, save just a micro bit of fuel every single lap, it can really account to a lot of time saved in pit stop or spent stationary. And it just means as the closing stages of the race progress, if the car ahead of you is trying to fuel save, is trying to just eke out to the line, you have more fuel in reserve to go hard at him or her.
That's the fastest lap. That last lap was a 151.28.
That was very slow through that there. But yeah, we are very slowly every lap eking out that gap to Kevin. However, he was faster through that first chicane than I was. He dropped 3 or 4 tenths off behind me. So just to make sure we stay clean and stay out of trouble now, and we'll be on for a really good result. Did give myself a very small heart attack when I saw that I was blessed with car number 1. However, I'm glad that I'm able to be competitive and not kind of shooting myself in the foot, being all the way down the bottom and taking a mandatory I rating hit. But it's good that I'm somewhat competitive here and on the right kind of level in terms of all out pace, which is great. So in other news, in terms of motorsport news, last week I touched on that Romain Grosjean was starting P1 in an IndyCar race. He ended up finishing P2, which is a really good result for Romain, considering although he is not a rookie to open wheel racing, he is a veteran in that respect. He's still considered an IndyCar rookie because it's only his first season in that category. However, he finished P2, which is an honestly great result considering kind of had a little bit of a rough run towards the end of his Formula 1 career, as well as that massive big crash at Bahrain. It's good to see that he still has plenty of pace and he can still be very successful in an open wheel category. We also had Jack Miller getting his second MotoGP win at the Cirque du Soleil track in France, the Le Mans circuit. The MotoGP bikes don't run the full Le Mans track, they run a track called the Cirque du Soleil. It's a slightly different layout
behind is now 5.3 seconds
of that track. But in very changeable conditions, Jack was able to just run a perfect race and build out a massive lead and get his second win, which is a great result for him as well. A lot of your big heavy hitters and veterans of the sport unfortunately crashed out. Your Marc Marquez's, your defending champion crashed out as well as they changed over bikes due to the inclement weather conditions. And in this week in motorsport, we have got the Monaco Grand Prix. So not to be confused with Monza. Monaco, the hometown of Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's Formula 1 driver. Racing at Monaco, one of the most famous and one of the more popular
you've got half your fuel left
races of the season. It's a street track, so 11 and a half months out of the year it's just a normal street road that you can walk down and see, but the one weekend it becomes one of the most illustrious and famous Formula 1 races of the season. And yeah, so it's a really good race to watch. You think certain tracks that we've covered here in iRacing have no room for error? Monaco's a completely different beast. Yeah, it's all crash barriers all the way around. You go an inch off, you're an inch into the barriers. So it's makes for some hard overtaking, however makes for some really good racing, and kudos to anyone that races around that track. I remember every time it would come up in past Formula 1 games that I would play, that I'd just be like, yeah, no, I'll take an easy retirement through here because I don't feel like having that higher stress levels for that long. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that race. Whoa. Skating right on the edge of another 1X there. So we have fallen into a little bit of a lull here behind them. However, it's sure will get pretty interesting again once we all go for our pit stops and everything like that. You never know what's going to happen ahead. So other things we're potentially thinking of doing here on the channel, I would always, as I've always mentioned, I'd really love to get into some longer endurance racing. So at the moment, I am looking at the VRS endurance season, the non-teamed variants, so just 90-minute races. And I'd be most likely running with the Corvette CR8. However, just waiting for the right time. I'm tempted to wait for Season 3 before jumping into it, and just focusing primarily on this for the remainder of the season. However, I would also like to potentially do two.
You've just done a 151.71. Sector 3 is 0.38 off the pace.
Would also like to do 2 or 3 weeks to almost prepare myself mentally and physically before just jumping into it whole ham next season. At least if I only do 1 or 2 races here, whether I finish well or finish poorly is inconsequential. Whereas next season I'd want to really start and give it a red hot crack. So let me know what you guys think about that one there. It'd be interesting to hear it out. So they're 90-minute races, so it'd still be in a single video format kind of thing. I think you'd at minimum have 2 pit stops a race. But yeah, I think you can also increase how much literage goes into the car at the start. I think you can run them at full weight, which is I think 110 to 120 odd litres. Oh, bummer. I was really trying to let off the throttle there so I could just scoot away with it. However, no dice. You guys also may notice a little bit better visibility out of the windshield from a viewer perspective. I have messed around a little bit with my FOV to offer a little bit better viewing and a little bit better viewing out of the windshield. The Lambo unfortunately does have that little black bar across the top of the windshield for a decal, which does protrude a fair distance and can block a fair bit of viewing angle. However, I was able to cut the lowest section of the LCD display off, which only just showed real fuel settings and stuff like that, because I do have the Race Labs apps fuel calculator, so I don't really need access to it, which is good. Let's just see if we can punch in a few reasonable laps and just make sure we keep Tyoshi in touch with Tyoshi, sorry. Yeah.
Incident in Lesmo 2. It looks like D'Agostino.
Oh. Second Lesmo. I think that's Curva Grande. It does really, that one always catches me out, unfortunately. I really do struggle to be quick through there. And we've got Parabolica all the way right at the end, the last corner. I think this is the Ascari chicane coming up here. So I know the really scary parts of the track for me, but unfortunately don't know all of
P2.
All of the names of the tracks. As you can see there, I took a little bit too much of that sausage curb.
You're looking really good. Come on,
and
keep focus.
It kicked the car up all the way.
We estimate 8 minutes of fuel left.
Fortunately, I wasn't putting too much steering input into the car and was able to just get the car back level before continuing with the corner. However, if you are kind of crossed up over it or your weight isn't completely where it should be,
the leader is pitting now.
It can knock you around. He's going for an early pit stop, as early as he possibly can.
You're gaining on the guy in front. The gap is 4.5 seconds. You're in the lead.
What I tend to do,
151.22.
What I tend to do, and I have touched on it in the Okayama videos, is I like to run long, only because it minimizes the amount of time you're spent battling, arguing with other cars. So Tyoshi might find that when overtaking Kevin, Roberto and Niels, again, might not let him straight through, even though it's in their best interest to, because he's already effectively a pit stop ahead of them. So he's realistically got a 30 to 35 second gap over them, whether they could attempt to hold him up. Whereas I know right now that I have Filippo 15 seconds ahead of me and Kevin 5 seconds behind me. Even if I do punch in 6 or 7 red hot laps that are way quicker than Kevin, I know I have a lot of headroom before I get to Filippo. It just means I get caught up in less traffic, less BS really. And any mistake I make is pretty well just 100% on me. So I think personally after the pit stop, depending on when the other guys do as well, we'll come out in probably second or third position. Just depending again on how much Tyoshi gets held up. Yeah, which will be pretty good. Just means we can kind of avoid as much trouble as we possibly can.
Your last lap time was at 151.79.
7. Could probably increase that a little bit. Oh, slightly too deep. Also, unfortunately, got my hand taped up, and it's putting some of the tape adhesive onto my steering wheel. I should really be wearing my gloves at the moment, but unfortunately, with the tape, it's really uncomfortable in there and very restrictive, and it holds my thumb in a very painful angle. So, I'm opting to go without gloves at the moment. Which is causing me to not focus on the track. It's pretty good through there. So we'll be approaching the pit window very shortly. I reckon I'll get 2 more laps in and then have to come in. Well, we've done, like, based on
That's 5 minutes of fuel
how I've
left.
gone in previous races, I think I'm going to be coming in with slightly more fuel than I typically would. Typically around here on the back straight, I'm floating around the 2.2, so I really struggle to make that second lap option in. However, I think I'm going to be pretty well on the button. And I think just that ability, due to the gap I have, and really just run to a time, like a lap time, has allowed me to kind of do that more lift and coast kind of...
Is the car exiting the pits?
That more lift and coast kind of running. So we're about to get back up on...
That was a 151.66. There's an incident in Variante del Rettifilo. Yellow flag, keep your wits about you, mate.
Thank you very much, Christopher. I wish he had stopped 50 metres further back, up the main straight, because I do like to cut that corner. However, he did stop, which was very good of him, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Always do run deep through there. I do hit perfectly sometimes,
Okay, Oliver, 15 minutes left. That's 15 minutes.
which does feel great. However, more times than not, I do run that ever so slightly too deep. I'm just not hard enough on the brakes into that corner. Kevin has shut the gap ever so slightly, but I think a large contributing factor was the fact of me having to get past Christopher on that main straight. So I'm not going to stress out too much just yet.
The gap behind is now 4.8 seconds.
And this has been a relatively scrappy lap. On my part, I'm 1.2 seconds slower than my best. Sucks. So yeah, look, I'm going to get just in time. Slightly deep through there, but it has given me a little bit of a straighter ride onto the straight, carry a bit more speed. So yeah, I reckon it's going to tell me to come in this lap. It'll have to.
Very little fuel left. Hit this lap, in this lap. Your lap time was at 152.59.
Pushing that brake pedal as hard as I possibly could. And got it stopped right on the marks, which is great. And I think because we are running as late into this race as we possibly can, we might find that Kevin and Roberto, there's no way they would have saved
You're leading.
a whole other lap's worth of fuel over me. So we might find that the positions might remain very similar. We'll just have Tyoshi coming back through. And it just depends what kind of lap times Tyoshi was running in relative clean air. So slightly slow through that corner there. However, we're keeping strong at the moment, which is good. Christopher might also slow down Kevin ever so slightly, but there shouldn't be any reason why my pit stop is 3 or 4 seconds slower than Kevin's.
Two litres left.
So we're coming into the pits now. So I don't run running too deep on my in lap because it means just stay completely out of trouble.
Pit lane speed limit is 64 kilometers per hour. We'll fuel you to the end of the race. The car behind's pitting now.
Yep, so Kevin's coming in. Roberto will have to as well, I feel. I think all of them are going to have to. This will also release Tyoshi though as well. Ooh. Go.
It exits clear.
So, relative to Tyoshi, we've probably shaved off maybe 1 to 1.5 seconds. Oh, not even. I reckon after all said and done, we're pretty well going to be in the same kind of 9 to 10 second lap delta to him. But we have managed to push Kevin back a few tenths of a second, which is a good result. So, it has gotten a bit overcast, so we might notice that the temperatures start to drop ever so slightly on the track. It's extremely hot here today, 42, 43 degrees Celsius, which means tyre temp isn't really a big concern. However, if it does start to cool off, the grip will start to drop off in the tyres as well, ever so slightly. So, didn't even realise that Kevin Andre was car number 3, but yeah. So, pretty indifferent. He didn't gain all that much on me. Tyoshi was a quicker racer than me. I think he was the pole sitter for this race. And there's also a big difference between 1 lap pace and being able to hit consistent race pace marks.
Okay, Oliver, 10 minutes to go. That's 10 minutes left. Keep doing what you're doing. This is spot on.
I don't think I've been able to get into similar lap times to where I qualified. However, Tyoshi's been pretty well on it the whole race and has been pretty consistently hitting his marks. Like, he hasn't made too many mistakes. Same thing, he was pushing the gap to, I can't remember who it was, the gentleman who spun in front of me in the Merc at Ascari chicane.
The gap behind is now 4.8 seconds. B2
has just been able to stay there and stay super hot, which is good. I'm slightly wrong there. Apologise for any ugly faces I might be making. Really using as much of the track as I can there. Just want to make sure I don't give any opportunity to close that gap up onto me. Cool. So sorry, not Hubert, Nick. Nick's gonna let me straight through, I hope. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you, Nick. Pretty quick through there, which was good. Not the quickest, but still quick. Yeah, it is good when a back marker does just get out of your way. It doesn't cost himself too much time, doesn't cost yourself too much time, which is always good. Parabolica is a deceptively hard corner to get around, does just look like a sweeping right-hander. However, you really got to set yourself up for these straights, so you don't want to go in too deep, otherwise you will cost yourself time down the straight.
You've just done a 151.56. Sector 2 is 0.5 off the pace.
Slightly too deep through there, which sucked. It's pretty interesting seeing that it's just 1.3, 1.3, 1.2, 1.2, 1.2. We don't have any super big outliers in the sense of like people with an I rating of 0.7 just greatly outperforming the rest of the field. Oh, very deep through there. Made a very silly mistake. Was too busy looking down at my relative, checking the gap to Kevin.
The gap in front is increasing. It's now 12 seconds.
Yeah, this lap is pretty well a write-off. I've made too many silly errors, lost a lot of time.
All right, Oliver. 10 minutes of fuel remaining.
That was pretty good through there. I was pretty happy with that. Maybe could have been ever so slightly quicker on the throttle, but that didn't cost myself too much time.
Behind is now 3.4 seconds.
3.4, that's not too bad. Brake slightly early, however was quicker through the chicane. So yeah, the guys further back are lapping in the mid 52s, which doesn't stress me out too much. However, Kevin, I'm pretty sure is lapping pretty well spot on. I think we might just be going back and forth in terms of lap times, but that was a very silly mistake. I cost myself a second to Kevin just there. So if I don't
that's 5 minutes to go. Come on, keep it together.
Sharpen
we'll
up
podium here.
my act, I'm gonna make this pretty damn easy for Kevin. That was slow. Shit. Felt fast. Ish. The secret to those two sequence of corners there, those two right-handers, is getting the car to the inner curb to help rotate it through the corner. Really does help get the car turned in, maintain as much corner speed as you possibly can. However, if I do make many more mistakes like outbraking myself into that second chicane, Kevin's going to be all over the back of me and in the slipstream and here at Monza. That more or less spells disaster, especially if they're a half sensible driver, set themselves up to do an overtake onto the back straight or the pit straight, and then just make your car super wide the rest of the lap. It does make it extremely hard to get through. Because Monza is the true epitome of a one-line kind of track.
Your last lap time was a 152.23.
0.7 of a second slower. Flattered a whole lot of curbs there, but did push that gap out ever so slightly more. Got him back up to the 3-second mark. So, with 3.5 minutes to go, I reckon we're going to have 2 or 3 laps left, roughly.
P2.
Really use them up to. I really apologise. I'm sure I'm making some absolutely disgusting faces. Oh, too wide. Carry pretty good corner speed though. Oh. Yeah, slightly slow through there. And that's what I mean about going tit for tat with people. It's, if I focus on being too conservative at the rate that Kevin is catching me, he'll be on me on like the last lap. I was good through the first section of Ascari, but I was a little bit too cautious through the back side of Ascari.
The gap behind is now 2.4 seconds.
Actually, I reckon we've got After this lap, one more. I reckon we'll get the the white flag this go round.
3-0. That's 2 minutes left.
Now. He's pushing real hard.
The track temperature is falling. It's now 42 Celsius.
Oh. That was very shabby through there. Very average. Just keep your head screwed on straight, mate. Still got that 2-second gap. He still has to make that up. And it's one thing to catch, it's another thing entirely to pass. Oops, someone had an excursion into the barrier there, just to the left in the sand trap.
Got 5 minutes of fuel remaining.
Oh, really sliding it out to the back of that curb. Cost me a little bit of time.
There's an incident in Ascari. It looks like it's D'Agostino.
Hopefully it doesn't affect us all too much. Alright, cool. Let's see if we get the white flag this go round. I think we will. Had to take 3 bites of that to get on the throttle. That really did cost me a lot of time. Let's see how close Kevin is.
We're running on fumes, mate. Last lap, bring it on home.
Just 0.3 of a second quicker last lap.
Incident in Variante del Rettifilo. It looks like it's D'Agostino.
Did see that. Making that mistake. Pretty quick through there. I just saw my delta really jump up in terms of being in the green. Through there too. Slightly slower through there. We're just doing whatever I have to do to make sure I keep that gap where it needs to be. Because even if he was in that 1 to 1.5 second area as we come through, he could very easily catch up to me. Once he's in the slipstream, he'll be right up on the back of me. But yeah, all things going well around Parabolica now. So that's a very strong result of a second place after qualifying 4th. Car number 1, that's a great result up on the podium. So we're really starting to get these results roll in.
Nice one, Oliver. Great drive. That's a podium.
So I know what it's all about, keeping your nose clean, staying out of trouble. However, that's pretty much what we did. We just didn't get sucked into anything. We still ran our race for 40 minutes, which means we were able to come away with the win. So what we're going to do is, just as I round this corner here, just pull it up to a slope, nice and gently. What we're going to do, guys, we're just going to quickly jump on into the results. Alright guys, we're just going to get into the results. So, 4 splits, bottom split, strength of field was 1024, safety rating increase of 3.32. Safety rating increase of 0.12, pushing us up to 3.32. Had a 72 I rating increase, pushing us up to right on the cusp of 1.4k. 2 lead changes during the race would have been myself and Tyoshi when he jumped into the pits. Best lap time was 0.6 of a second quicker than me. Started in P4, he started P1. Japan, Australia, and then we had Kevin Andre from France pulling up the last place at the podium. Next Aussie down, we've got Craig Priest all the way down in 10th place in the Ferrari. But yeah, nice, short, sharp, and sweet this week. This video, guys. So if you've enjoyed the race, please consider giving a like and subscribe. Comment in the comment section down below. Check out the Twitter in the description down below as well. And we will catch you in the next race. Bye.